Most men chase money as if it were salvation, blind to the truth that without power, wealth becomes a leash, not a weapon. In this video, we unravel why the powerless are never truly rich and why you must learn to rule before you learn to earn. Imagine a world where every coin you earn whispers obedience, not to you, but to those who command the system that allowed you to earn it. You toil, you struggle, believing fortune is your master's favor, yet the unseen hand that grants or denies your wealth belongs to power, not merit. Tonight, we descend into the darker chambers of human ambition, where power is not a prize, but the architect of all reward. Here, morality bends, illusions crumble, and only one law remains: he who commands others' desires controls their destiny. You do not need to deserve money. You need to deserve dominion. You were told that hard work leads to wealth, that effort and virtue carve the path to success. You were lied to. Look around. Do you see the powerful breaking their backs in labor? Do you see kings sweating beside their subjects? No. You see those who control the conditions of labor, those who write the rules of the game while others play it. This is the illusion of merit, the most effective deception ever engineered by those in power. They needed a story to keep the masses obedient, a dream to keep the ambitious hopeful, so they invented the myth of deserved wealth. Work hard, they said, be good, and fortune will reward you. But in truth, the world has never rewarded merit. It rewards position. It rewards influence. It rewards control. A skilled craftsman may die poor. A cunning courtier may die rich. The difference is not talent. It is placement. Merit is the comfort of those without power. It gives them meaning while they serve another's design. It keeps them docile, chasing validation instead of dominance. Consider the courts of Renaissance Florence. The men who held the city did not rise by virtue of moral goodness or superior effort. They rose because they understood leverage, who to flatter, when to betray, and how to appear indispensable to those above them. They mastered perception, not perfection, and perception, my friend, is a far sharper weapon than any honest skill. Think of César Borgia, the duke feared by all, admired by few, yet remembered by history. He did not wait for merit to crown him. He took power first, and then created the appearance of worthiness. People followed not because he was deserving, but because he was dangerous to ignore. The masses, blinded by moral ideals, confuse outcomes with fairness. They see the rich and assume virtue must have led them there. They see the poor and whisper failure. But this is not justice. It is narrative control. The powerful shape perception so completely that even misfortune becomes self-blame. Psychologically, this deception is brilliant. Humans crave order. They want to believe the world is fair, that effort equals reward. It keeps them sane. But sanity is not the same as truth. And truth, stripped bare, is cruel. The truth is that power selects who is allowed to appear meritorious. A man without influence can scream his talent into the void and still starve, while another, with a single connection, is hailed as a genius. You see this in modern times too. The CEO who earns 1,000 times more than his workers is not 1,000 times more skilled. He is simply enthroned by the structure he manipulates. He owns the language of success. He dictates what value means. And so the powerless keep working, believing that one day effort will buy them freedom. But freedom is never sold, it is taken. Ask yourself, who defines your worth? Who decides what your time is worth per hour, your words per sentence, your ideas per breath? If it is not you, then you serve. The illusion of merit thrives on dependency. It makes obedience seem noble. It paints ambition as greed. It rewards submission with applause. And you, the believer in fairness, become the perfect subject. Predictable, loyal. Control the powerful have no such illusions. They know merit can be manufactured. They buy prestige. They borrow virtue. They surround themselves with symbols of worth until the world forgets to ask if they deserve it. The king does not beg for recognition. He demands it. The prince does not prove his value. He defines it. Understand this: wealth is not the fruit of effort. It is the shadow of power. And until you learn to master perception, to position yourself where recognition flows by design. Your effort remains servitude, disguised as opportunity. The world is a stage where appearances rule substance. And only those who understand the script can rewrite their fate. So the next time you are told to work harder, smile, but know the truth. You do not climb by labor alone. You climb by strategy, by alignment, by subtle manipulation of how others see you. Because power is not taken by the most deserving. It is seized by the most aware. And when you realize this, when you stop chasing fairness and start cultivating control, you will see the world not as it should be, but as it truly is. You will see that merit is a mask. And behind that mask stands the only thing that has ever ruled mankind, power itself. Most people believe reward comes first. That if you prove your worth, show your talent, and work with loyalty, power will follow. But this is a lie whispered to the obedient. In every era, the ones who ruled were not the ones who waited to be noticed. They were the ones who positioned themselves where reward had no choice but to follow. Power does not come as a gift to the deserving. It is the soil from which all reward grows. Without it, your efforts feed another man's garden. Think of the generals of Rome. When the Senate hesitated to grant honor, men like Julius Caesar took command anyway. They didn't wait for permission to lead. They created situations where leadership became unavoidable. Their victories on the battlefield forced recognition. Their results dictated reward. The Senate did not grant Caesar power. They merely acknowledged what he had already taken. Ask yourself, how often have you waited for someone else to recognize your value? A boss, a friend, a lover, a world too distracted to care. How long have you worked for approval, believing that power is earned after the applause? The truth is inverted. Reward is the echo of power, never its source. In politics, the man who holds influence over others' decisions will be rewarded regardless of his moral standing. In business, the one who can control perception, dictate demand, or manage fear will rise higher than those of pure skill. And in personal life, the one who can shape emotional outcomes, who can make others need their approval, commands the relationship. Do you see the pattern? Power creates the stage on which merit performs. Even morality, that sacred idol of the weak, bends to those who command. The powerful decide what is good. They write history, and history forgets their sins. Had Caesar lost, he would have been a traitor. He won, and became eternal. This is why those who chase reward before securing control end up enslaved by those who don't. They wait to be chosen, while others rewrite the rules. They polish their talents, while others acquire the audience. They labor, while others leverage. Understand this. Power is not just political or economic. It is psychological. It lives in the ability to affect others' behavior without their awareness. It thrives in the silence before decisions, in the subtle shaping of expectations, in the art of making others think your victory was their idea. Every hierarchy rewards those who understand this invisible law. You may think your workplace runs on performance reviews. It does not. It runs on allegiance, on perception, on invisible strings pulled by those who learned that being indispensable is better than being talented. Have you ever wondered why some people are always promoted, even when they do less? They understand that visibility and control matter more than merit. They manage the flow of information, not just their performance. They control narrative. They embody power before they officially hold it. And the world, always eager to submit to certainty, obeys them. You see, the mind is drawn to authority even before it's justified. Humans crave hierarchy. It simplifies chaos. So when someone acts with decisive confidence, others instinctively follow, mistaking boldness for legitimacy. This is why rulers fabricate grandeur, why leaders exaggerate success, why conquerors hold parades even after bloodshed. They do not celebrate victory. They declare it into being. Psychologically, power must appear before it is truly possessed. The moment others believe you have it, half your conquest is complete. The powerless make the mistake of seeking reward as validation. Wait to be told they are ready. But readiness is irrelevant when influence is already yours. Reward, my friend, is nothing more than the world's recognition of your existing command. It is delayed confirmation of what you've already taken. The question is, are you still waiting for approval, or are you quietly constructing leverage? Do you seek praise or obedience? Do you chase wealth, or control the gate through which wealth must pass? Remember, he who holds power can afford to wait for reward. He who seeks reward without power will wait forever. Even morality follows this law. A powerless saint is pitied, powerful sinner is feared and often worshipped. History bows to the strong, not the good. So, when you look at the powerful, those who seem to win without deserving it, understand they knew this truth before you did. They placed power before recognition, and recognition came crawling to their feet. Power, once established, forces the world to justify it, and in that justification, it becomes permanent. You do not earn the throne. You occupy it, and let the poets explain why you belong there. But power, once seized, must be maintained, and that demands control over others' dependence. Power does not survive by strength alone. It endures through dependence. A ruler is not powerful because he commands. He is powerful because others cannot function without his command. The secret of control lies not in domination, but in designing need. Every empire, every kingdom, every modern corporation stands upon this same foundation, dependency crafted so subtly that the subjects believe it is necessity. You have seen it before. The employee who cannot leave his job because his lifestyle chains him to his paycheck. The lover who cannot walk away because their identity has been fused to another's approval. The citizen who obeys because he fears what life would be without the state's protection. These are not coincidences. They are architectures, structures of invisible control. Dependence is the truest currency of power. It requires no threats, no violence. It requires only that others believe they cannot survive without you. Think of the Medici of Florence. They did not rule through fear alone. They built a system where every merchant, banker, and artist owed their success to Medici patronage. They made themselves the bloodstream of the city. To oppose them was to cut off one's own oxygen. That is the highest form of mastery, to make rebellion self-destructive. Do you see how easily this translates into modern life? Corporations offer comfort, benefits, and identity, until dependence replaces loyalty. Social media gives validation in doses, ensuring you return again and again to feed on recognition controlled by unseen algorithms. Governments, religions, relationships all build soft cages lined with safety, gilded with affection. The more secure the prison feels, the tighter the bars become. And yet, most people build these cages willingly. They trade freedom for comfort, agency for predictability. They call it stability, but in truth, it is control wearing a friendly mask. The wise ruler never demands loyalty outright. He makes himself indispensable. He feeds others' weaknesses until they cling to him as a necessity. When they can no longer imagine life without his influence, his throne becomes unshakable. Think of how a spider constructs its web, not by force but by precision. Each thread connects to another, invisible yet binding. The prey moves freely until it doesn't. That is how true power operates. The web is dependence, not the trap. Psychologically, dependence thrives on uncertainty. When people fear instability, they attach themselves to the nearest source of perceived security. It's not logic that binds them. It's fear of collapse. To control people, you do not need to chain them. You only need to make the world beyond your influence appear uncertain, hostile, or chaotic. A lover hunts that no one else will ever love you the same. A boss reminds you that jobs are scarce. A ruler speaks of enemies at the gate. Each narrative whispers the same message: without me, you are nothing. Dependence, once internalized, becomes self-enforced. The subject polices his own mind, silences his own rebellion, and defends the very power that exploits him. Isn't it remarkable how the most powerful never seem to beg for loyalty? They simply position themselves so that loyalty becomes survival. In every hierarchy, the same strategy repeats. The weak seek help, the strong offer it, then slowly transform assistance into addiction. A generous hand today becomes a leash tomorrow. The clever manipulator knows when to give just enough to sustain attachment, but never enough to inspire independence. Because a man who no longer needs you becomes dangerous. Freedom in the wrong hands is rebellion. Even in friendship or love, the game persists. The one who controls the rhythm of giving and withdrawing affection becomes the emotional sovereign. Their absence feels like pain. Their attention feels like oxygen, and thus the dependency cycle feeds itself. Voluntary slavery disguised as devotion. But remember this, dependence must appear mutual even when it's not. The ruler pretends to need his subjects. The manipulator feigns vulnerability. The illusion of equality keeps the dependent from realizing the imbalance. That is the final elegance of this art. The prisoner must believe he holds the key. Look back through history. Empires fell not when they were attacked, but when their subjects discovered they no longer needed them. Rome collapsed not from invasion alone, but from internal decay, the withdrawal of faith in the system that bound its citizens together. Once dependence weakens, power dissolves, so the wise ruler continually renews it. Through fear, favor, ideology, or comfort, he ensures that even when chains are unseen, they remain unbreakable. Ask yourself, who depends on you? Who could not move without your presence, your resources, your approval? If the answer is no one, then understand, you do not yet hold power. You merely survive within another's design. But creating dependence is only the beginning. Power is not sustained by wealth, nor by love. It is sustained by fear and favor, the twin currencies that buy obedience without question. Every ruler, every leader, every manipulator trades in these currencies, whether they admit it or not. Money may buy loyalty for a time, but when fear and favor intertwine, loyalty becomes instinct. Ask yourself, would you rather be loved or feared? A foolish question, because the wise know that love fades while fear endures, but pure fear breeds rebellion, and pure love invites weakness. The art of power lies in balancing both, so that people never quite know whether to admire you or dread you. In Renaissance courts, the most enduring rulers were not those who inspired affection, they were those who mastered uncertainty. They could reward and destroy with equal calm. Their mercy was a privilege, their wrath a spectacle. To serve them was both an honor and a risk, and that paradox made obedience irresistible. Consider Caesar Borgia once more. He conquered regions through terror, but maintained them through favor. When he entered a city, he brought both executioners and architects. He destroyed the disloyal, and then rebuilt their cities, giving prosperity in the shadow of blood. His subjects learned to fear his hand, but also to depend on it. That is how control becomes permanent, through alternating doses of fear and relief. Psychologically, humans are addicted to uncertainty. Predictable kindness loses its hold, but the kindness that follows punishment feels divine. You must understand this if you wish to command, not just people, but perception. Fear awakens attention. Favor seals devotion. Used together, they create emotional captivity. Have you ever noticed how leaders, bosses, even lovers, alternate between distance and warmth? It's not random, it's strategy. They withdraw approval just long enough for you to crave it, then return it as a gift. Your mind, flooded with relief, associates obedience with pleasure. This is the same principle used in politics, religion, and seduction. Fear creates submission, favor sustains it. Look to history's empires. The Roman generals punished disobedience with spectacle, crucifixions, public humiliation, so that fear would sink deep into the bones of the masses. But they also rewarded loyalty with titles, land, and glory. Fear disciplined the crowd. Favor built the empire. Both were essential. Modern rulers are no different. Only their methods have become quieter. The firing of an employee, the exile of a critic, the shaming of a dissenter. These are the new executions. While promotions, public praise, and symbolic rewards are the new favors. Nothing has changed but the theater. And yet, most people fail to see the deeper truth. Both fear and favor are illusions. They exist only in the mind of the subject. Power does not need to act. It only needs to be believed capable of acting. A ruler who might destroy you is as effective as one who does. Fear thrives in imagination far more than in reality. That is why the greatest manipulators understand silence. They do not shout. They do not threaten. They allow others to invent their own punishments. When fear becomes internalized, it polices thought long before it polices action. But fear alone is unstable. A terrified subject will obey, but will also dream of freedom. To prevent rebellion, power must sweeten control with small, strategic favors. Reward your subjects. Not too often, not too equally. Randomness strengthens dependence. A gift after fear feels like redemption. A crumb after punishment tastes like luxury. Psychologists call this intermittent reinforcement. It is the same mechanism that keeps gamblers at the table, lovers returning to the same toxic arms, and citizens pledging loyalty to leaders who harm them. Fear primes the mind, favor rewards submission. Together, they form an unbreakable cycle. Now ask yourself, who in your life controls you through this rhythm? Who withholds approval until you crave it? Who gives kindness only when you've earned it through obedience? You call it love, leadership, mentorship. But beneath it all lies the machinery of control. Even nations practice this art. They frighten citizens with danger, then rescue them with policy. They create crises only to solve them, manufacturing gratitude and fear in equal measure. The people never realize the game, because the emotions feel real. The wise ruler doesn't extinguish fear or favor. He engineers them. He decides when to punish and when to pardon, not by justice but by necessity. He shapes emotional weather, turning hearts and minds like seasons. This is the true alchemy of power, transforming perception into obedience and obedience into faith. And if you learn to wield both currencies, fear and favor, you will never need to beg for loyalty again. It will flow to you naturally, irresistibly, as a survival instinct. But what happens when wealth itself enters this equation? When money becomes not the goal, but the instrument of control. In the next segment, we uncover why wealth is only a shadow of power, and how those who chase gold without dominion end up owned by those who print it. Most men chase wealth as if it were power. But money without control is merely gilded weakness. The wise understand that wealth is not the source of power, it is its shadow. When you build power, wealth follows naturally. When you chase wealth directly, it flees like prey sensing the hunter's desperation. Look closely at history, and you will see this pattern repeated endlessly. Kings did not become powerful because they were rich. They became rich because they commanded the flow of wealth. They owned the land that produced it, the armies that protected it, and the people who labored for it. They did not need to chase gold. It arrived at their feet. Power creates value. Wealth merely circulates it. Think of the Medici, rulers of Florence. They began as bankers. Yes, but they ascended because they understood that lending money was never as valuable as lending influence. They financed popes, monarchs, and wars, buying not gratitude but dependence. Their true fortune was not in coins. It was in the favors owed to them by the powerful. They learned that gold buys obedience only once. Influence, however, buys it forever. Do you see the distinction? Those who chase money without strategy become servants of those who control its movement. They work harder, earn faster, and lose everything when the system shifts. But those who chase power build the system itself. They write the rules that decide who earns, who pays, and who bleeds. You've seen this in your own world. The wealthy business owner is not truly free if his empire depends on others' permission. The investor, the celebrity, the executive, they look rich, yet their fortunes rest on structures owned by someone else. One policy, one scandal, one whisper from those above, and they collapse overnight. True wealth is not counted in currency, it is counted in control. Control of time, control of people, control of the circumstances that decide what money even means. Ask yourself who defines the value of your labor, who decides what your time is worth, what your effort earns. It is never you. It is always someone with more power, someone who knows how to make you chase. This is the silent hierarchy that rules all economies. The powerful sell dreams of wealth to the powerless, keeping them obedient, occupied, and blind to the real source of control. It is a genius form of manipulation. Let the masses run endlessly after money, and they will never realize who decides its value. Psychologically, this illusion feeds the human ego. Money provides visible proof of success, validation for the insecure mind. It feeds vanity, and vanity is easy to manage. A man obsessed with appearing rich will always bow to those who can grant him that appearance. But those who seek power care little for appearances. They deal in silence, not spectacle. They understand that money is a means, not an end. It is a weapon that loses meaning once it's displayed too loudly. Consider the Roman Empire. Gold alone never secured its dominance. It was power, the ability to tax, to conquer, to dictate, that made Rome wealthy. When the empire decayed, the gold vanished too, as if wealth itself were loyal only to power. Modern rulers know this truth well. They print wealth, redistribute it, and manipulate its scarcity at will. They do not chase it, they create it. That is why no currency, no economy, no market remains stable. It is always controlled by those who understand that value is perception shaped by power. The wise man, therefore, never measures his success in money. He measures it in leverage. How many depend on him? How many cannot move without his approval? How many owe him, not in gold, but in silence and compliance? Wealth gained through power becomes inevitable. Wealth pursued without power becomes fragile. You may earn it, but you will spend your life defending it. Ask yourself again, are you building assets or are you building control? Because one can be stolen overnight. The other makes theft impossible. Even the poor can sense this difference. A man of true power can walk among the rich with empty pockets and still command their respect. They fear him not for what he owns, but for what he can take. That is wealth in its purest form, the invisible kind rooted in authority, not possessions. So when the world tells you to get rich, to hustle, to grind, pause. Ask, whose game am I really playing? Because the one who controls the table never needs to play. Money is a shadow cast by influence, and chasing shadows only leads you further from the source of light. But here lies the final secret. If wealth follows power, and power feeds on control, then how do you become powerful before the world believes you deserve it? In the next segment, we reveal the art of becoming undeservingly powerful, the method of forcing reality to obey your image before you've earned your throne. The world worships the illusion of worth. It believes authority is granted to those who deserve it. But history tells another story. Those who rise do not wait to be declared worthy. They act worthy until the world bends to that image. Power does not reward the deserving. It rewards the audacious. Ask yourself, who told you that you must wait for permission? That you must be chosen, qualified, or certified before you lead? It was the powerful. They needed you to believe in fairness, so you would never challenge them. The greatest rulers understood this deception. They created their own legitimacy long before the world acknowledged it. They did not earn the crown. They wore it until others stopped questioning why. Think of Octavian, later known as Augustus, Rome's first emperor. He was not born the most skilled general nor the strongest man in Rome. He inherited only a name and a vision. But he acted as if destiny itself had chosen him. He manipulated perception, declaring himself the restorer of the Republic, while dismantling it piece by piece. By the time people realized the trick, it was too late. He was emperor by belief, not by birth. This is the essence of undeserved power, to act as if you already possess what others still doubt you deserve. Psychologically, humans are drawn to conviction. They follow confidence long before competence. They trust certainty because it offers security in an uncertain world. Thus, the appearance of authority creates authority. When you project command, people surrender reason to instinct. They assume you know what you're doing simply because you behave as if you do. And that assumption becomes your greatest weapon. The mediocre wait to be proven right. The powerful behave as if they cannot be wrong. But remember, projection alone is not enough. You must engineer belief. You must build the stage on which your illusion thrives. Every symbol of power matters. The way you speak, move, pause, and even what you choose not to say. Power is performed first, and only later justified. Appear unshaken when others tremble, decisive when others hesitate, calm when chaos unfolds, and you will appear divine. People will begin to see in you what they crave in themselves: control. That is how undeserved power becomes real. Belief hardens into structure. Perception becomes truth. Consider the church in the Middle Ages. It ruled kings and peasants alike, not through armies, but through narrative. Its power came from conviction, not evidence. By declaring itself the bridge between man and God, it made obedience sacred. Was it deserved? That question became irrelevant once millions believed it. In modern times, the same principle governs politics, business, even relationships. The CEO who exudes dominance will be trusted more than the expert who doubts himself. The politician who speaks with certainty, no matter how false, will sway more hearts than one who explains too much truth. The lover who withdraws calmly appears stronger than the one who begs for reassurance. Perception always precedes reality. That is the law of power. And yet, most people sabotage themselves by seeking validation. They wait for the world to tell them they are ready, forgetting that readiness is never recognized, only declared. You become powerful the moment others start acting as if you are, and they begin acting that way the moment you convince them to. So, how does one cultivate this illusion without arrogance? Through composure. Through control of reaction. The truly strategic never show need. They never justify. They allow others to interpret their silence as depth, their confidence as evidence, and their distance as superiority. Humans are desperate to assign meaning. Your stillness becomes mystery. Your confidence becomes proof. And the world fills in the blanks with reverence. Even failure cannot defeat such presence. When a powerful man falls, people assume fate tested him, not that he erred. When a weak man stumbles, they assume incompetence. That is the difference confidence creates. Remember this: no throne is ever earned. It is occupied and then defended through illusion. You become undeservingly powerful by embodying inevitability, by convincing others that your rise is natural, your rule justified, and your presence irreplaceable. Do not ask for acknowledgement. Create expectation. Do not request power, assume it. And never apologize for the space you take. Expand it until others mistake your ambition for destiny. This is not deceit, it is realism. The world rewards those who declare truth before proving it. Act as if you belong at the top, and soon, the top will rearrange itself to fit you there. But there remains one final revelation. Once you've seized power, deserved or not, how do you keep it without ever seeming to hold it too tightly? In the next chapter, we uncover the most paradoxical law of all: how to rule by appearing effortless and control by seeming free. Power is never taken by force alone. It is taken by perception. You control people not by chains, but by guiding what they choose to see. Make them believe they act freely, and they will serve you more loyally than any slave. Influence is the art of invisible hands. You pull the strings, but they think they dance on their own. And when they finally realize your control, it's already too late. Because, by then, they need you. This is the silent empire rule without claiming the crown. Command without raising your voice. Win without revealing you were playing the game at all. So tell me, have you ever controlled someone without them realizing it? Or worse, has someone already done it to you? Share your thoughts below. Subscribe to unveil more Machiavellian truths, where power is dissected, not glorified. And share this video so others may learn what you already suspect, that the most powerful control is the one no one sees.